Hello and welcome to In Focus here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Together with our reporters, we've prepared stories about unique initiatives and the remarkable people behind them. Clean-up operations are underway after Storm Boris pummeled large parts of Austria, Romania, the Czech Republic and Poland. The storm dumped months' worth of rain and left behind a path of destruction. Tens of thousands of people had to be evacuated across the region, and many families lost their homes together with all of their belongings. At least 24 people are confirmed dead as a result of this extreme weather.
The Kłodzko Valley in southeastern Poland saw the worst flooding, with 1,600 people evacuated and 17,000 losing electricity. The small town of Kłodzko was partially submerged following a dramatic rise of the water level in the local river.
2 days ago, when we came here first time, with my family and with our friends, we just stand and open our mouth and eyes, and anyone could move, because it was a shock for us, really. And it's very sad, and people were walking around the street and they were crying around. So that was really terrible. Emotionally, it's really hard.
So the water was high up to here, and the flow of the water took it from its place and it fell down here.
We feel exactly like this church. This church is destroyed, and we feel destroyed because of the water which came to the church. It was more than 3 meters high.
About an hour to the east, in the town of Dzierżysławice, a dramatic rescue took place after a family car with 2 adults, 2 children and 2 dogs inside got stranded in the quickly rising floodwater. The family was rescued by first responders from the local volunteer water rescue service. In Paczków, less than 5 kilometers from the Czech border, water came in a flash, giving residents little time to react.
We're waiting. We put whatever we could on the first floor, and we'll see what happens.
The town of Głuchołazy was also flooded, and the surge obliterated a local bridge. Now that the water level has gone down, the residents are trying to salvage what little is left of their possessions.
It's hard to explain to someone who has not gone through this, really. It's not even about the furniture. But I have grandchildren, their toys, they cannot be saved. I don't know, sometimes such little things are more important than the big ones.
This year it was enormous. I have never seen anything like that in my life. I'm 75 and I have never seen anything like that here.
It is getting warmer. There is a lot of mud. We are afraid of infections, and also we cannot just sit around waiting. It is our building where we live. We've been living here for almost 40 years. This is our whole life.
Residents of Lewin Brzeski, many of whom had to be evacuated on boats, draw comparisons to the 1997 Central European flood, which took the lives of 114 people.
It was the same as the flood in 1997, the same exact way. The water was going through the foundations into the house, and that's it. Now, we were not expecting that because we thought the dams would protect us.
We can say that 1997 repeats itself here in Lewin Brzeski. I live a bit further down, and we have 1.1 to 1.2 meters of water in my yard, and it keeps going up. The Nysa River is probably flooding us, so something bigger is coming. Back in 1997, the water came, and after a few hours it was subsiding to the Nysa River. And right now, it's been gradually going up since 7 o'clock this morning.
The areas across the Polish-Czech border have also been severely affected, as mountainous terrain focuses rainfall into narrow valleys. The residents compare the high water level to 1997.
The water started flowing really fast. Hopefully it's at its maximum now, but the people down there, poor them. Just like in 1997, exactly the same. Back then, in 1997, the ditches weren't that wide. We thought that the water would fly by, that it would run through. But now it's completely turned everything upside down, and it's like they say, I don't know what it is, the flood of the century or the millennium, but this is a disaster.
The northern and northeastern areas of the country have borne the brunt of the deluge. Nearly 3/4 of the city of Litovel, some 140 kilometers to the east of the capital Prague, was submerged after the Morava River overflowed.
I was just very, very afraid. I saw a once-in-a-century flood. There was a lot of water. It was a shock for me because I did not believe that it would come. As I saw it, I simply ran away because the water was rising very quickly near the house.
We were surrounded by water here. There wasn't even a signal, nothing. As if we were dead. We were like that once before when there was COVID. To be able to escape from this, well, it was horror.
We had to move out as we are in a flood zone. We have to wait for it to drop a little. There is no water or electricity. It's bad. But there are people worse off.
In the Ostrava region, thousands of people had to be evacuated from their homes after a dam located at the confluence of the Oder and Opava rivers was breached in 2 places. A power plant supplying heat and hot water to the city was also forced to shut down. Heavy rainfall across Austria and Romania has led to several deaths, as well as significant damage to property and disruption of public services. The Danube Valley in Lower Austria is among the most severely affected. 12 dams were breached by the floodwaters and thousands of households were left without power.
I don't know what to do next, what to do. I have no idea. We hopped out of the house. The water was so high. We each left with just a bag in our hand.
In Romania, at least 7 people died and thousands of homes were damaged by the flooding. More than 5,000 homes were destroyed and thousands of people have no access to drinking water or electricity.
It destroyed everything. I don't have anything left. The beds are filled with mud. I have nowhere to sleep. I have nothing left. It killed the dog, the pigs. It killed all the chickens, all the grain. We have nothing left.
Cleanup operations are underway throughout the region, and the Red Cross and other charities and grassroots initiatives are hard at work delivering aid. The European Commission has also pledged substantial financial help. Experts warn that although the worst seems to have passed, the flood wave will continue to move through the region for a few more days.
Earlier this week, a new biography of Maria Skłodowska-Curie had its world premiere in Warsaw. It was written by Sydney Srinivas, an Indian aerospace engineer whose day job is at the University of Sydney. Our reporter, Natalia Komarov, attended the event and asked the author what impressed him so much about Warsaw's most notable Nobel laureate.
Great figures from history usually inspire more than one biography. A new perspective on the life of Maria Skłodowska-Curie, Poland's greatest scientist, premieres today in Warsaw, here in the exact house where Maria was born.
We bring you to the premiere of a biography of the eminent scientist and 2-time Nobel laureate, written by our guest, Professor Sydney Srinivas.
Marie Curie, was one of the greatest scientists that one could think of. And if you measure the success by the Nobel Prizes, she had plenty of it. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and she's the only person to win a Nobel Prize in 2 different science disciplines like physics and chemistry. And then in her family, there were 5 Nobel laureates who shared 4 Nobel Prizes. Till very recently, Marie Curie was treated like a saint in science. But some of the documents that were made public in 1990 seem to show that she was like any other ordinary woman. Of course, she was a great scientist, but otherwise, she was like any other ordinary woman who suffered, who loved, who liked, and all that. And then in this book, it is not just her biography. I have given some of the science behind her achievements, like radioactivity and other things. So when one reads this book, one does not merely trace her life, but also gets a glimpse of her achievements in scientific terms.
In this book, you can find out about Maria's personal life, not only about science, not only about her great discoveries, but also about her personal life, about her family, about you can find out that she was human, not only great scientist. She sometimes was crying, she was laughing, she laughed. So I think that it is stressed in this book.
Though she was a woman, she undertook the most dangerous experiment in science history. That is separating radium from pitchblende. So pitchblende has uranium, that was known, but that has also got polonium and radium. And how much radium is present? In a truckload of pitchblende, there may be 1 gram or even less of radium. And she had the courage to separate out that small amount of radium from that huge mass of pitchblende. And I don't think anybody would have dared do that, but she did it. And she said she would do it, and she did it. And even then, the French people were quite hostile to her, and they were never cooperative. In spite of it, she won the Nobel Prize, and in the end, her remains were placed in La Pantheon, the greatest honor that French government could give its citizens.
2 years ago, I got an email from a professor from India. His name was Sydney Srinivas, and he wrote that he wanted to write a book in English about Marie Curie, and he really would like to visit our museum in Warsaw and to know something more about Marie Curie, because before he wrote a small book in his native language, Canada, and now he wants to write a book in English.
We came here about 2 years ago, and we met Alexandra and Milka, and they were very, very cooperative. Right? We learned quite a few things here, and we went through the exhibition, saw the pictures, and they also helped us in many ways. And then from here we went to Paris, and we visited the museum of the Curie Institute. Even there, they were extremely cooperative.
After 7 or 8 months, we got a book which was almost ready, but he asked me to read the book before it would be published. And I started reading, and I was very amused that he did a very good, big job. He asked me to check if all the Polish aspects are stressed enough, because he knew that for us, for the Polish people, it's very important to stress the fact that Maria Skłodowska-Curie was Polish. And after I sent the book with some suggestions.
She made about 150 changes, big and small. And not that I accepted all the changes, but I honored them. And now that Alexandra has read the book, that somebody from the museum has read the book, I can safely give it to anybody and ask them to read it.
Sydney Srinivas has previously published books on Charles Darwin, Isaac Newton, or the Indian mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan.
I think every now and then, maybe every 25 years or 50 years, we should tell our people again and again about those great people. And that's the reason why some of these biographies should be written and rewritten. Hello, your name, please?
Natalia. Srinivas admits that premiering his book in the exact house where Maria Skłodowska-Curie was born has a very special meaning.
It's a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage. People go on pilgrimage for various reasons, for religious reasons, spiritual reasons, and etc., etc. But when they go on such pilgrimage, most of the things are hypothetical. Something may have happened, may not have happened. But the pilgrimage that I am taking to the house of Marie Curie or of Einstein or of Newton, there something really happened. Somebody was really there breathing the same air that we breathe and doing something extraordinary. to the mankind. So that I consider as a pilgrimage.
For some, it's the beginning of preparations for the World Championships in 2 years. For others, it's the final stretch before they head to the World Championships in November. The 13th edition of the AMP Football Cup, held between September 14th and 15th at the Hutnik Stadium in Warsaw, was absolutely unique and electrifying.
This is how the Polish national women's team says thank you to their fans and supporters after winning 2-0 in the first match with England at the 2024 AMP Football Cup in Warsaw. The Cup is an annual event that brings together players, their families, fans, and everyone else interested in cheering the amputee football players.
Probably like the main thing is that maybe we don't want to show people that we can do it, but we just do it. And people are impressed about it. Whenever you are disabled, you can do things that normal people can do, and that's the thing that you need to do. Like you need to try, because whenever you try, you're winning. So basically, the winning is the part that brings people to this community.
While the AMP Football Cup features regular matches between teams with winners and losers, there is no trophy like in other tournaments or championships. That comes later. The women's national team, which is only 2.5 years old, is treating the cup as a warm-up before they fly out to the World Championships in November. For the men's team, it's an opportunity to identify areas that still need work as they start to prepare for the World Championships set to take place in 2 years.
We just came here to win, and that's the whole plan to the World Cup. Like in 2 years, is winning and learning. So basically, we want to win and learn, because it's gonna improve our level, right?
The men's team won both of their matches played in mid-September at the Hutnik Stadium in Warsaw, but preparation for the World Championships begins very early.
Before the World Cup and like big tournaments, we don't go to gym. Like we switch it completely and we're running. So it's different. Like I run because like I live next to the mountains. So basically I run over there, and that's my part of preparation. But everything happens here, like on a pitch. Like that's the most valuable lessons.
For the rest of 2024, the men will have time off from playing for the national team. The women, however, are waiting for their first ever World Championships, which will take place in Colombia from November 4th to November 10th. The draw for the group stage of this tournament will take place on September 26th. For anyone who missed this year's AMP Football Cup, another one will take place next summer.
Yesterday was a big day for the gaming industry in Poland as one of the country's biggest developers released Frostpunk 2, a sequel to the original post-apocalyptic game in an icy setting that was a smash hit. There are high expectations that the game's success will cement the global status of the Polish gaming industry.
Frostpunk 2 takes the player to a hostile Earth covered with ice and puts the player into the shoes of a leader who has to ensure the survival of his people. Each version is essentially a city builder game with a strong political and moral layer, and gamers around the world love it. The original Frostpunk sold over 5 million copies over the past 6 years. We asked the CEO of 11-Bit Studios, the game's developer, what players can expect in the sequel.
You can expect a lot from that game, and you can expect a lot from in different fields. Like, you can expect that you will show how the society is radicalized so fast currently. We saw it everywhere right now, in every country, the radicalization. The Frostpunk is about that.
Despite Frostpunk's success ahead of today's release, many investors got a serious case of cold feet. The company's stock dropped by almost 17% during Wednesday trading. Thursday saw many buying during the dip, however. Following a year full of failed launches in the gaming industry, many speculative investors have been choosing to sell at the peak of the hype before the launch, rather than risk a possible flop.
Usually you can see that in every major game launch, right now, the stock might go down because that's the nature of things. I wouldn't worry that much about it.
11-Bit's CEO is very satisfied with the pre-sales on online games platforms like Steam.
So, of course, as like every other company, we have our predictions, plans, etc., etc. What I can say as for now, we are like in all of the aspects, we are already at the plan or even higher.
However, 11-Bit is not the only successful studio in Poland. Currently, there are about 500 companies that produce and publish games in the country. Within a decade, their number has more than doubled. The entire sector already employs over 15,000 people in the country, which puts it at number 3 in Europe, behind the UK and France. The global value of the industry in 2024 is expected to reach approximately $218 billion. The biggest players include, of course, CD Projekt, by far the largest Polish game developer known for its hit The Witcher series and Cyberpunk 2077. They're followed by others like Techland, famous for the Dying Light series, CI Games, known for its first-person shooters, and, of course, 11-Bit. 11-Bit's CEO says Poland's secret to success lies in its homegrown talent.
Talent is very strong, and it started years and years ago. It started with a good education back then, but now we have a lot of companies and we have experience. There is the money market, like supporting the game devs, so there is a whole ecosystem.
It remains to be seen how successful Frostpunk 2 will be, but the Polish industry as a whole is strong and it's growing.
Budapest is joining the ranks of cities, including Barcelona and New York, which are fighting the proliferation of short-term rental companies. Citizens of one district in the Hungarian capital have now voted to ban Airbnb as well as similar services.
The decision means that from January 1st, 2026, short-term rental services like Airbnb will no longer operate within Terézváros. Over 6,000 residents took part in a local referendum with a much higher turnout than similar votes. 54% voted in favor of eliminating short-term rentals. Alexandra Szent-Király, president of the Fidesz party in Budapest, suggested that this decision could set a precedent, influencing similar measures across the capital or even nationwide, potentially reshaping the future of short-term rentals in Hungary. In Barcelona, Airbnb hosts must register and obtain special licenses, a measure aimed at easing the housing shortage. Meanwhile, Berlin has introduced a law limiting rentals to 19 days per year without special permits and penalizing illegal listings with fines up to €60,000. New York already banned renting for less than 30 days back in 2023. This vote sends a strong message, showing that residents value the peacefulness of their homes over the potential economic benefits from tourism.
September 17th marked the 85th anniversary of the Soviet invasion of Poland in 1939. Polish President Andrzej Duda commemorated this somber occasion by laying a wreath at the monument to the fallen and murdered in the East.
Aerial menace over Poland.
The Soviet Union attacked Poland on September 17, 1939, a little over 2 weeks after Nazi Germany's aggression. The Polish armed forces fought bravely but were massively outnumbered by the better-equipped German and Russian armies. Prior to the attack on Poland, the USSR had signed a non-aggression pact with Germany. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact included a secret protocol establishing Poland's and the Baltic states partition by the USSR and Germany. After the end of World War II, Poland was in the Soviet sphere of influence and only became a democratic country in 1989.
After World War II, Poland did not manage to free itself from the yoke of Soviet oppression. We remained behind the Iron Curtain in the Soviet sphere of influence until 1989, and the Soviet armed forces did not leave Poland until 1993.
Remembering Russia's centuries-old imperialistic ambitions and crimes is particularly important in light of the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine.
And that's all from me in this particular episode of In Focus, but as always, there's lots more coming up, so Stay tuned. Goodbye.